Workbench, episode number 5. I am Seth Werkheiser, along with Bill Meese, two people who work in music, love technology, and we want to share some of our nerdy knowledge to help make your work easier and more manageable. Bill, welcome to episode number 5.
What's up, Seth? How you doing, buddy?
Hey, I'm doing quite well. It's a bit of an Arctic blast here in Philadelphia, but we're getting through.
Yeah, this weather in the Northeast is very Hothian, and I'm getting a little sick of it, to be quite honest with you.
Yes, well, we only have a few more months to endure.
Well, hopefully a couple of weeks, not a couple of months.
February, March. Yeah, you're right. And then we get a break in March to head to Austin, Texas, correct?
Absolutely, and that is my annual warm-up, not only for weather, but also in sports, because that's when spring training in baseball starts.
Ah, yes, baseball. I see the tweets of people counting down to spring training. So.
Oh, we can't wait. I know you're not a sports fan for baseball anyway, but
I'm a moderate baseball fan, but yeah, not in like you though.
No, I'm a heavy baseball fan, and I cannot wait. I have a confession to make, and I saved it for the episode to tell you.
Oh, excellent!
I spent $45 today on printer ink.
What?
Yeah.
Why would you do that?
I know. This podcast definitely promotes Paperless, and I am a full backer of David Sparks' book or ebook on Paperless. Go check that out. But my wife was doing a project today that required her to print something out, and we didn't have any ink. And it's been a long, long time since I went and purchased printer ink, and I went and got it, and I saw the cost at the register, and I was, holy crap! I totally forgot how expensive it was to buy printer ink. I couldn't believe it.
Was that like the 8 colors or something for $45?
Yeah, it was the full Monty. It was the color cartridge and the black cartridge.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's bonkers. Yeah, I can only imagine how maybe possibly less people are printing these days.
Yeah, definitely.
Wow. Well, I'm sorry you had to spend that much, man. That's a beast.
It's all right. In my head, I'm thinking that's probably the last I have to spend on it for a long time, and hopefully ever. So,
perhaps.
Yeah. So this is episode 5, and I want to start off by saying we've had some great feedback, and I'm very happy with what I've been hearing from people. We've had some people reach out saying that one of the many little tips and tricks that we're offering here had helped them through the day, and to be honest, even one person reaching out and saying, "Hey, this little trick or this little workflow helped me here," and then they tell us, how they applied whatever. It really just makes my day, because that's the whole point of this. And if somebody reaches out and tells us, then that's awesome.
Yeah, totally. We super appreciate that. This is stuff we've been doing for a while, and we're just happy to share it. So
totally.
Yeah.
So what are we talking about today, Mr. Werkheiser?
Well, we are talking about project management, web-based project management. Kind of the tools that you can use online to do whatever project or job that you might have, whether it's stuff around the house or running a music blog or managing your freelance career. Yeah, we're going to talk about these web-based project management services.
Awesome. And what's a project management service, just to really boil it down to the basic description?
Well, I would say if you could take everything that's involved with, say, a project, the stuff that you need, the list of directions maybe it's photographs, maybe it's audio files, due dates, contacts. It takes all that kind of stuff and puts it into one place online for you to easily access it.
So pretty much anything that you would incorporate into a team-based project and putting it in a place where everyone can access the same bit of information, communicate, and accomplish what they need to accomplish inside their given task or project.
Absolutely. And yeah, to your point too, I mean, whether you work solo and you just need a place to keep all the stuff, or you do work with a team, the team aspect is project management tools like this, like they're so super good for eliminating bottlenecks.
Right.
The idea of like, hey, I need that file, but so-and-so's not in front of their computer to email the file to me. Well, if everything's on this project management system, on the cloud, on the web, it doesn't matter. So, yeah.
Awesome.
Yep.
So now that we've given a kind of a broad stroke overview, there's obviously many ways to skin this cat, so to speak, and there's a lot of different avenues you can go down to accomplish this, depending on what your needs are.
Yep.
And we're going to go into it's not a long list, but it's a short list with pretty powerful programs lined up. And the first one is one that I'm pretty familiar with is Asana, A-S-A-N-A, Asana.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I used it a little bit. Haven't used it so much, but you're a heavy user of it these days, right?
I am. I specifically use it with my intern team. I run the internship program at my day job, and I found myself just emailing each of them individual task or reoccurring task or just basic things that they need to do that that's part of their internship. And what I didn't like was that if they did what I was asking them to do, the only way I would know it was done is either by them telling me or by going in and double checking. Now, if you've ever had an intern before, you fire multiple things at them on a daily basis, if not dozens or multiple dozens, and to have to follow up on each one is pretty tiresome. So I was trying to find a good system to put in place to keep track of each task, and Asana totally became that system that worked for me. And just on a basic level, it's a task management system, but it's built for teams, whether it's 2 people or 3 people like I use, or whether it's dozens. I don't want to go into it right now because there's a long list, but it's really meant for more than 2 people at a given time. So
yeah, there's a lot in it. I love the whole idea that you can assign tasks to people on your team. It's that kind of thing that if you have multiple people on it and, hey, everybody has to log into this thing every day, it's that idea that you log into it, oh, look, I have 5 tasks assigned to me, rather than, oh, I have, 5 emails from my boss.
Right. And it's,
and each of those tasks then has all the information where you need it right there. Instead of constantly digging through your email, it's all right there inside Asana.
Right. And Asana itself claims to, quote unquote, keep your team organized, connected, and focused on results. And they really mean that. I mean, companies like CBS, Uber, Airbnb, Dropbox, Pinterest, they all use it. And those are companies that are on the cutting edge of today's technology and beyond. And I guess their big MO, so to speak, is to create less email. And that goes across all of the different platforms we're going to talk about today, is just lowering the amount of emails that you get in your inbox on a daily basis. And if you've been listening to this show 5 episodes in, you know that is a overarching goal of ours and the show, is to prevent people from having too much email to where it just bogs them down. And each one of these programs will help you and your team reach that, whether it's decreasing your week by 1 email or decreasing your week by 1,000 emails. Anywhere in between is considered an accomplishment.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love it. And Asana's free for if you want to try it out.
Right.
It's neat to dig into it. So.
And I really recommend going to their website, which I guess is asana.com. I'm sure you can find it. Mm-hmm. But they have a really cool video on their homepage. And it really just explains, like the premise of it is like, how companies worked before email. It's like, if you really think about it, like how did things get done? How did teams collaborate and accomplish things? It was phone calls, paper memos. Yes, paper memos. and gathering people in the same room. And, business existed like that for a very long time and successfully, but it's simply not needed today. And I think that's a point that a lot of companies still have not adopted in 2015. And, that's a larger argument of, working from home. I know there was a big story about Yahoo last year, and that's a whole show in itself, which I'm sure we'll get to. But if you really boil it down, you don't need, and I emphasis on need, to be in the same room every single day. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't get together, on team retreats or once a week or twice a week or 3 times a week and, get face to face and collaborate. But the point remains, you don't need to be in the same room every single day to get work done. And Asana is a really good tool to help you do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, another tool to talk about. These guys have been around forever. Basecamp. This is made by the folks at 37 Signals. Now they're called Basecamp. They've been focusing on this product a lot, and that's another one. It's a little. How could I compared to Asana? It's a little less. How would you put it, Bill?
It's a little less sleek, but the functionality is the same, if not better.
Yeah,
and what they lack in, promo, they make up for in back-end customer service and usability.
Yeah,
and I'm not as familiar with this as I am with Asana or the other ones, but I am familiar with 37 Signals simply because they've been around forever and they've made more than one product, this included.
Yeah,
and they've also written a bunch of books. I mean, if you're ever looking for new books to read, check out the books Rework, which is about just a new way of working, Remote, which is about remote working, which I just touched on, and Getting Real, which I haven't read yet. I have to check that one out.
Yeah, it's an oldie, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they do tremendous things. Great products. It's a great. I've tried using that years ago. Back when I did BuzzGrinder to try to get, to try to stop everyone using email and stuff like that. But you'll find, if you find you're trying to use these tools and get other people to use them, that's a challenge with a lot of folks trying to get other people on board with them. And
that is the biggest obstacle I've come across in using any of these, whether it's Basecamp, Asana, or anything else. And it's like a lot of things. It goes back to our Twitter story where it was, it was like, wow, this is really cool. I can see all the possibilities and all the ways I can make this work for me.
Yep.
But nobody else is on it.
Right.
And I've had some success at work with people signing on, but not nearly as much as I need for it really to work.
Right.
And, no matter how much attention and time you put into any of these, it's nothing compared to the challenge that you're going to face in getting, getting to teach the old dog new tricks in the office. That's the hardest part.
Yeah, with a lot of these, as people are listening, well, wait, I do fine with working with email and this and that. Like, there's another way. Like, take a look at some of these tools for sure. You'd be amazed at how nicely stuff can work when you're not constantly in your inbox. So,
and speaking of not in your inbox, that brings us to the next one is Slack.
Yeah.
And Slack is my favorite one. It's the one that I use. I use that every day alongside of Asana simply because Slack is a little bit different. It's not so much of a task management system than just a communication platform. And I know you've had some recent success with it, right?
Oh, absolutely. I was in the same boat recently of doing the tasks kind of thing over email with Skull Toaster. I would do my questions on the weekend, and then I would email all my writers, hey, here's all the questions. Who wants to take Monday? Who wants to take Tuesday? Blah, blah, blah. So instead, I got everybody on Slack, and from that, I was able to put the questions in Slack, and then there is where the conversations took place. Hey, everybody, here's the questions. And then it's neat. Slack is like this web-based chat thing, like a real-time message board maybe. So my list of questions is like a post, and people reply to it. Hey, I'll take Tuesday. I'll take Thursday. And all of those individual messages, that like replaced, 10 emails.
Right. So,
yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah, and it incorporates a lot into the platform. It's not just like an instant messaging platform.
Sure.
You can incorporate Dropbox, MailChimp. Honestly, the list of things that you can incorporate app-wise and program-wise is pretty limitless.
Yeah.
And if you're interested, I definitely recommend go checking that out.
They have a great explainer video on their homepage.
It's actually pretty funny. Did you see it?
Yeah. Oh, it's fantastic. Yeah. Yeah. I think that video is a great video for any of this project management stuff, in that like it gives this idea of like, wait, why are we doing everything in email? Like there's other ways. So
right. And again, that's the overarching theme here, is that if you work within a team, I mean, yeah, I'm not saying, delete your email address, but if you have a team of 5, 7, 10, 12 people, if you all use Slack or Asana or Trello or any one of these things, you will cut down your amount of email by tenfold.
Yeah.
And that just equals less stress for anyone's day. I don't care who you are.
Yeah, and back to like Skull Toaster, like none of us do this full time. We all have full time emails, from other projects we're doing, freelance work, day jobs, this and that. So to cut down on the number of emails that any of us receive, it's like awesome. It's a breath of fresh air.
Right. And of course, I have to point out that both Asana and Slack and Basecamp, they all have mobile platforms. You can access them from your phone, iPad, web, whatever. So.
Yeah, the Slack mobile, I'm using that a lot, I find.
It's amazing.
It's fantastic.
Totally.
Yep.
So you go on to the next one, because I think you use that way more than I do.
Yeah, and that's just recent. Trello, it's called. The link will be in the show notes. And Trello is this really neat, it's very visual. You go in there and you have this blank kind of dashboard, or a desktop, and you add lists. And then to each of those lists, you add cards, almost like index cards. So you can make a list of like a to-do list and a doing list. And as you go through these cards, you could put something on there, for example, write blog post in your to-do. So you go in there, you put a due date on it. Oh, I need this by next Tuesday. You put the details in there. When you're working on it, you can open it, see all your information, this and that. And when you're done, you can drag it here to your done list. And as you get more stuff in there, hooray, your done list gets big. And at the end of the day, you exhale and have this awesome, sense of accomplishment, because your done list is huge. So
yeah, that sounds awesome. I actually need to check out Trello. I don't know if I'm in a place where I can replace the systems I have in place just yet, but Trello has been recommended by a lot of people online and some friends of mine, and I definitely want to check it out.
Yeah, and I talked to a couple people on Twitter tonight about it, because I had remembered, a couple people here and there using it. The metal blog Echoes and Dust, I think they use Trello for reviews, because they have writers all over the world. So they just kind of put up, hey, these are the albums we have for review, and people take them. Mark at Broken Amp, another neat music blog, he says he uses it to assign people to articles, add calendar dates to promos, to-do list for self and staff. It's all on the same page. And another a writer friend of mine, Matt Hinch, he has a board for each site that he writes for, and he has cards for each album, and then tabs for to-do, done, and posted. So it's got a lot of neat. It's very flexible. I mean, it's a blank slate when you start with it, but you can use it for a lot of different purposes. It's cool.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
It's again, it's one of those situations where it's like, wow, that's really awesome. It has a lot of cool features. Where can I use it?
Right. Right. And for me too, because I remember we talked about OmniFocus, and this is perfect for that. I mean, I kept running into, since I'm not using OmniFocus, I have stuff I want to do down the road, but I didn't use OmniFocus. So what do? Do I add it to iCal or whatever? So I've been using Trello for that. Is I have a list for like stuff down the road, or when it's Friday and I have something I definitely need to do on Monday or Tuesday, I have a next week list that I can add to. So yeah, it's really flexible. I like it. It's worked well.
And for our David Allen getting things done fans, that would be your someday maybe list.
Yes, correct.
Well, another one I want to talk about is Hipchat. And I'll be honest, I used Hipchat in place of Slack for a long time, up until recently when Slack purchased some video company, I think, which made me think, wow, they're on the up and up, and they're going to have some cool features rolling out soon. Let's switch back to that. And then when we switched back, I really wasn't disappointed. It was totally worth it. But Hipchat is pretty awesome, and Hipchat is more of a chat platform than anything else, and it works the best within the same work groups, specifically if you have the same email address. But the one thing I like about Hipchat over Slack is that you can invite outside users into quote-unquote chat rooms, even if they aren't users of Hipchat.
Yep.
And I think you can do that in Slack, I believe, but you have to have a paid subscription. So I haven't tried that, but which is great. Like, 'cause I mean, think about the email that you had last week where you were fleshing out an idea or going back and forth communicating with somebody, and by the end of the day or by the end of the week, you're looking at 50, 60 emails, and if you would have just used Hipchat or Slack or some or one of these chat platforms that we're talking about, it would have been one email, two emails.
Yeah.
So hipchat.com. It's the free version is pretty unlimited. Yep. And then if you want to upgrade, it's $2 per person, and then which gives you video chat and a whole slew of other awesome features.
Hipchat's pretty neat too. I've done it a couple times. If you're in a conversation with someone on Twitter or a couple people, that can get unwieldy pretty quick when 5 or 6 people are joining the conversation. As Bill alluded to, you can have people that aren't, Hipchat users, and you could here's a quick chat room. Let's everybody hop over here. And it works remarkably well for that. And
also, going back to Basecamp for a second, they have 37 Signals has a similar program called Campfire, I believe.
Yes.
Which pretty much does the same thing.
Yes. I don't think they're accepting new users, though.
Really? It's been a while since I've used them, but what I do remember is that Hipchat was way easier to use.
Yeah. Yeah, no, a lot of the 37 Signals stuff, they stopped accepting new users for like High-Rise and all those.
Right, just to focus
everyone
on
can still use them that has an account, but yeah, I think the only one that's active is High-Rise.
Right, right. Which is a whole separate program for a separate show.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We can get into that later for sure.
And of course, you don't have to use any of these that we talked about, whether it's Asana, Basecamp, Slack, Trello, Hipchat. You really don't have to use any of them. But the point is to reduce the amount of emails that you're sending each week. And I can't tell you how annoying it is and how much of a pet peeve it is of mine when people treat emails like instant message conversations. And I know we talked about in episode 1. But any one of these, any one of these programs will help with that. Any one of these programs will eliminate emails from your inbox on a weekly basis. And guys, if you think that email is treacherous now, it's not going anywhere. I know, Seth, I sent you an article just today about how emails, not dying anytime soon.
Oh, you tweeted that? Yeah, totally.
Oh, right.
Yeah, we'll link to that in the show notes. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. It's always going to be here in some form or another. But the only difference is how we use it. The only difference is the discipline that we undertake in using email on a daily basis. And everyone knows that person in their office that just abuses the hell out of email on a daily basis.
Yep.
And it really isn't their fault. Honestly, it's not their fault. They don't know any better. And that's the whole point of this show, is to kind of steer people in the right direction and show them one or two few little tips or tricks that might change their entire office. That might change their entire outlook for the entire year and make them a better worker and more productive.
Yep.
And take their office and say at the end of a year, say, wow, we reduced 20,000 emails collectively as a company this year. Wouldn't that be cool?
Yeah, that'd be amazing for everybody. It's not like we're going to get less emails in the future. So,
right. And, I know email is a really big topic, and we've covered email probably on every one of our episodes in some form or another, but, it's there for a reason. It's there because people are using it every day. It ties into every one of the apps that we talk about on this show, whether it's, website setup or Twitter or Hipchat or Google, anything. It's there because we use it. And if we use it, that means we need to know how to use it well. And that means different things for different people, but if you can just improve one little thing, that sets you ahead of the next guy sitting next to you.
Yep. Yeah, like I said, with using Slack, starting the past 2 weeks, like I've saved 2 weeks, that's 20 emails. So 20 emails that I didn't have to archive or file away or reply to. The 20 things I didn't have to touch. So
right.
Yep.
And with that said, I know one of the big benefits of email is to be able to search back and look at previous conversations from years past. Every single one of these apps that we talked about has an archiving feature. Every single one of these apps has a search feature. So if you had a conversation with someone 2 weeks ago and you want to, recall what you were talking about, all you have to do is type in one keyword that you remember talking about and it'll bring it up.
Yep.
And there's exporting features depending on which one you're using, and believe me, the people that made these programs thought about that and they implemented it in the end result.
Yeah.
But what did you use Google Cal for? I'm really interested in hearing about that.
Yeah, it's funny. A couple years ago when working at Noise Creep, there was this big effort we need to put up as many posts as possible every single day. And that was like 20 posts a day. And that was with a freelance writer roster of like 15 people. We had photo editors. We had a online producer that would publish everything, line edit, and add the photos. If I had to email for every single part of that, I would have went bonkers. So I actually used Google Calendar as kind of a project management tool in that for each day, each post, I would copy and paste the title of a post that someone had put into the CMS, the blogging platform we used at the time. And I would paste that in at, say, 9 a.m. And then inside of that, I would put the information for that post for the person that was editing and posting. He would actually publish it. So that just meant, that was 9 a.m. Then I did that for 9:30 and 10 and 10:30. So that was, if you figure that 20 times, that's 20 emails I didn't have to send to my editor that was publishing these and editing and adding the photos. Oh, hey, for the 10 o'clock, the photo is over here, and make sure you do that. Everything was just sitting in Google Calendar, and, with each item, each event, you can add notes to. So anything relevant to it, I could put in there, and we just went about our day. Like, I just filled it up with the 20 posts, and they edited and published, and it worked. It was amazing.
That's crazy. You were actually using or trying to use the features laid out in a lot of these apps that we talked about, but inside of Google Calendar.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it worked. I mean, the idea of an editorial calendar, let's do it in a calendar. So, and it worked. I mean, yes, obviously, I don't even think Slack was around back then, or this was 2009 or so.
No, not many of these were.
Yeah, so stuff like Slack or Asana.
Basecamp might have been around back then.
Yeah, I think Basecamp was, but yeah, I didn't think we were going to put up the money for that at the time. But no, I mean, it worked. It did the job, And so don't be afraid sometimes too to kind of hack away with what's available. Like, I knew a friend that worked at a bakery, and their boss would email and text and like around the clock, all this stuff. Make sure this is this, that, and the other. Everything was everywhere. So that could all be thrown into a Google Doc, like a morning duties, like next day kind of Google Doc that everyone can add to and share and check.
Yeah, so or a Slack channel.
Or yeah, totally. So
or a Hipchat room, or a Trello card.
Yeah. So instead of emails, text, phone calls, this and that, like
voicemails,
yeah, just put it in one central place. Everyone can see it. Everyone can manage it. Everyone can add to it, leave notes, this and that, and that's just a Google Doc. You know, that's like base level kind of stuff. Yes, you can do all that in Asana and this and that, but yeah, there's so much to be said for putting information in one place where everyone can access it, and it's kind of like the home base.
Right.
Makes sense for, Basecamp. That's where everything is. That's where everything starts. Like, yeah, it's a great feat. It's a great thing to wrap your head around. So,
and one thing I'll point out about Asana, and I've used this with my interns, is that, say, hypothetically you have a list of 10 things that you need done. You put those 10 things in your Asana work group, and people that you're working with or people who work for you, they have the opportunity, you can set it like this, but they have the opportunity to go and claim those tasks for their own. Mm-hmm. So, essentially you can post up 10 things that need to be done, and your team can claim what they want to do. And so if you're looking at it on a Saturday night, Sunday morning, and you post up a chunk of stuff that you need done Monday morning, by the time you come in on Monday morning, half that list or all the list could be claimed by your entire team, and you wouldn't even have to assign it. Of course, that's assuming that, that's how you want it. Of course, certain members of your team can do certain things differently. But I'm just saying is that you can post up a whole bunch of stuff that you need done, and your team could just do it without even thinking, because it's live on the program, and they know it needs to be done, and they can just go in and do it.
Yep, absolutely.
And to think of how many emails you save by doing that.
That's the biggest thing. I alluded to earlier. We get emails from different things that we're signed up for, from significant others. This, that, and the other. Like, there's just so much. And so, yeah, why not? For this work thing, side projects, this and that. Why not send a few less emails
for free?
For free, absolutely.
So let's zip this one up, buddy.
Yeah, totally. Episode 5, web-based project management. Fun stuff. If you have any questions about anything we talked about, if you have something that you use that we missed, that you absolutely love and swear by, hit us up at hello@workbenchpodcast.com. And also sign up for our newsletter. It's in our show notes. The link for that will be on the site with this.
And if you have a question and you don't feel like emailing, you can always tweet at Seth or I. Seth is at Seth W. I'm at Bill Meese. And if you include the hashtag Workbench Podcast, it'll show up and make it easy for us to search, and we will include it in the next episode.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can also, we're on iTunes. The Workbench Podcast is in the big, shiny iTunes podcast directory. So if you'd like, head there, subscribe, and you can also leave a review if the show is helpful to you at all. That'd be awesome. Give it a couple stars. Give us your feedback, good or bad, whatever. We'd love to hear it.
And Workbench is also on Patreon. And for those of you who don't know what Patreon is, it's a lot like Kickstarter, except it is more of a monthly kind of thing than a per project kind of thing, and it enables supporters of the arts to support their favorite creators, whether it's artists, musicians, podcasters, you name it. It enables shows like us to keep the lights on, to keep the hosting fees rolling, and we have 2 perks or rewards set up right now. They're very cheap. One is $1 a month, which puts you in the ranks of the internet warriors supporting our show, and the next one is $3 a month, which gets you all I just said internet warrior wise, along with a prize pack of CD promos from Seth and I's crazy metal hard rock CD promo bin.
We got a lot.
Yeah, so head over to patreon.com/Bill Meese. That's Patreon, patreon.com/Bill Meese, and support us because we want to keep doing this once a week.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's episode 5. Thanks so much for listening. Until next time.
Later, dude.
Yeah.